Thank you very much for this very inspirational talk. I work with Apt Associates. We're a consulting firm and a research firm. And all this talk of innovation, I'm very, very inspired, but I'm also concerned or want to know how the innovation can really affect the bottom billion, the people who are still stuck in those traps of poverty. I'm not talking about the BRICS, but I'm talking about people in sub-Saharan Africa, mostly sub-Saharan Africa, who will they benefit from this drive toward innovation, and will they benefit with the CSR focusing so much on climate change? Maybe it's through base of the pyramid initiatives, maybe it's through last mile initiatives, but I would really be interested in how all of this relates back to those 1 billion people at the bottom of the economic pyramid. Thanks.
So far in our part of the world, we had people expressing their concern and their passion for the poor people, and giving a donation and then move on. The reality is that those people help themselves for a great deal. If you now look to Africa, it's the number one growth market in mobile telephony. That's not just because they can say hello to their family members. It has changed the balance of power, for example, in the agriculture industry, where people who had their crops had no way to know what the real market price was and depended fully on the middleman. Now all of a sudden have a phone in their hand and they know exactly what the price is, and their position has dramatically changed. There is a lot going on by innovation to allow people in real life circumstances, to improve their lifestyle. But it is not because of us designing how they have to live, it's because of them having the opportunities and being smart enough to take advantage of that. So I think innovation does help also the bottom 1 billion, more than anything else we have done so far. Now there are two other things we need to do. We need to ensure that this financial crisis is not paid by them. And I think what the IMF is doing right now, and the fact that we have the G20 and no longer the G8, will help tremendously to ensure that the policies are not rewritten again in the way that they were in the past, which was, first of all, to look to ourselves and then to everybody else if there was some spare capacity. And the second thing that is equally important is transparency in those countries, because values, most of the time, need a, let's say, a cleanup. And what you see in countries like Nigeria right now is fascinating and important. A governor of the central bank on a mission to clean the banking system, to root out as much as he can all kinds of corruption. Those type of things are equally important as innovation. It is social innovation. And innovation is not just technology. Innovation is doing things better and things on a wider scale.
Thank you.
So if the audience has no question, I have a question for the audience.
Please.
Because I would like to know what you want leadership in your organizations to do different to help you to be more successful. What is it that I have to say to my colleagues that will help you to do a better job?
Now the hands go up. Great.
Yeah, it's important.
This is Maarten Houten, Philips Lighting in Amsterdam. There are two things. One is when you talk to people on the lower levels, they're really engaged. When I talk to Mr. Kleisele, CEO, my CEO of Lighting, really engaged. What we're struggling with is middle management. They are up for the numbers next quarter, and there are people who get it, there are people who are still not get it. That's one thing I really need struggling to change. The other thing is what also been discussed here, is we get a lot of discussions on what's the business model. So on the social side, I don't know. Environment, we know. Governance, we know. But there's still a lot of debate going on, and I believe if we want to get the steps ahead and do sustainable innovation, what is a topic in my company, we need to tackle this. I would like to hear your thoughts.
Well, in your company, it will, oh, the light goes off. I mean, Philips Lighting, that's... So this was a clear demonstration about the value that you bring to society. That's for sure. I think in your particular situation where you have LED as a new technology coming in, changing the life cycle of a bulb from, I believe, a year to 15 years or something, it's a fundamental change in the business model. And business models are a true important element of CSR. I think, if I make a suggestion to you, but I still want to hear from you back, but I would be a little bit closer to your strategy departments. I see that a lot of CSR people do not link up with the strategy guys who make all kind of new business models going forward. And your input can help to make them much more creative. But at the end of the day, you are absolutely right. If you want to convince middle management, it has to be in a P&L. My argument is that the way that we are right now, the way we're on right now, will end in nowhere land. So if you run faster, you go faster where you don't want to end up. So you need to change course. But in order to get them on board, you need to give them evidence in their hands that they understand. And assumptions have to come from you guys. The calculation has to come from the strategy guys. If that alliance is made in an organization, you have found yourself a very, very powerful base.